Hello everyone, Ian here with a tour of my sandpit model railway. Some of you will have followed the build of the layout on its blog, 16mm footsteps.blogspot.com, on internet forums or on Facebook. Well, enough of photos, it's time to take a closer look and see some trains move. For those of you who don't know, the scale of the model is 16mm to the foot with a 32mm track gauge. That represents a 2-foot gauge prototype. 16mm scale, or SM32 as it's also known, is generally known as a scale for live steam trains in the garden. But there's also many small industrial lines out there with tiny locomotives that are able to be modelled in this big scale but only take up a small space. The layout was mostly constructed over 30 days and each day is listed on the blog. Some days I got a lot of work done, other days not so much, but we got there in the end and we've got a pretty good layout out of it, I think, so let's take a closer look.
The layout was inspired by a picture in issue 134 of Narrow Gauge and Industrial Railway Modelling Review of a sand tipping dock at Leighton Buzzard by Sidney Lelure. The overall size of the layout is 4 foot by 14 inches, so it's a little over the area of a true micro layout of 4 square feet, but it's most definitely in the spirit of a micro. There are two scenes to the model, the yard and the sandpit. The sections are distinct and separate, yet seem to merge into one continuous whole as you follow a train through the layout. Let's start in the lower level yard. The yard entrance sign, Bontoff, that's a family name from my father's side. It's a good idea to keep any names in the family if you're creating a fictional business. Then there's the muddy Land Rover, and next to that the sandpit, the bin that we are tipping sand into on the layout. Then you can see the wrecked wagon, the skip wagon there, and a pile of something or other under a tarpaulin there. Who knows what's under there? Tipping dock was a long but rewarding thing to build. It took days to cut the timbers, mainly because I didn't get enough the first time that I went to my hobby shop. It was amazing how much basswood I went through, and styrene as well. There's a lot of styrene used to make the support legs, and jigs were used to get everything to the right size. The tipping mechanism actuation rail was a problem to get to the correct angle and not foul the skips as they ran past. Move over to the second scene, the sandpit. Firstly, we have a section of overgrown track typical of the sand railways in the area. There could always be more weeds and stuff around here though. In front of that we've got a small mound of sand that separates the running line from the siding on the front of the layout, and this siding is an area for quiet contemplation for me. I often sit the rusty old skip at the end of this track and just look at it and lose myself in the scene. There's a lot to take in there: weeds, grass, wood, rust. Then we come to the loader. It was one of the first things to be built, straight after I'd laid the track, built from styrene sheet and sections with rivets added from tiny rhinestones. It looks the part, inspired by the one on David Barham's Fen End pit layout and photos found on the internet. It directs the sand from the chute up above into the wagons with minimum overspill. As the line runs off stage, it runs through the legs of the support for the chute. It's not too noticeable. See, the chute drops down and the sand drops through the chute into the skip. Then at the end there we have the fiddle yard. The sector plate, cassette, call it what you like. It only lines up with 2 roads and serves to save having any point work there. A great space saving dodge for a micro layout. So that's it. That's pretty much the overall view of the whole layout. So let's now take a look at some operation. So let's look at the operating sequence. First you see the chute delivering the sand to a skip, and you will notice that I do coax the sand in down the chute just to make sure everything vacates the chute and the tipper there. So then we drive on to the sector plate, which aligns with the rear road, and then we toddle off down the rear road towards the tipper. So trying to recreate the effect of running through overgrown track there, and then we get to the tipper, and gotta say I'm pretty pleased with this. The tipping is quite satisfying. Then the empty skip is trundled back to the hopper. The skip is a binny kit, very quick and easy to assemble and very cheap as well, and a good way into 16mm scale modelling. The locomotive is from Chris Rennie at Loco Remote. His 3D printed kits are so easy to assemble and all go together so easily. Again, it's another easy way into 16mm industrial modelling for small layouts. Here you can see a close-up of the sand running through the chute. It slows it right down, and the sand fills the skip much more pleasingly at a slower speed. Once again, I just gave it a little tap to clear it out of the grid in the chute there. And then we drive on onto the sector plate again, lined up with the back road, and off to the tipper. I like the whole hands-off aspect of working the layout. It's satisfying, and it's a lot of fun to see all the automatic accessories. Oh, you see, look at that. Isn't that wonderful? It's so satisfying to see these things work perfectly, work well. And with that tipped, we return to the chute. And you can just view there behind the oil barrels the bumper that tips the skip up to the upright position. Quite satisfying. So that's it. That's a quick look around the layout. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look. Don't forget, for those in the Midwest in America, you can see it at Randolph Railroad Days on October the 21st, and then at St. Cloud Granite City Train Show on November the 11th. So if you're in the Midwest of America, in Wisconsin or Minnesota, then it will be fun to see you. But I hope you enjoyed the look at the layout, and maybe we'll do this again sometime.